Here with James Grande. Welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS live stream here, breaking down Friday's 11-game main slate. James, we are live across the Better Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm social platforms, man. Closing out the week ahead of the NFL Draft Day 2. Leading into that, we got a nice little baseball slate to talk about here, James.
Yeah, first and foremost, John, happy Friday. That is the, I think the
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, FA Nation. Nice. Good. Look at you, dude. Starting off the stream with a little Ron Burgundy. That was nice.
There you go.
That was nice. Yeah, it's an interesting slate. We've already gotten a game out of the way. Likely going to have a second game out of the way as well in New York. So what started as an 11-game slate has shrunk to a 10-game slate. Is quite possibly going to be a 9-game slate by the time, I don't think there's been an official announcement on the Mets front, but
yeah, not yet.
That game looks pretty disgusting as well. So yeah, I mean, interesting slate. It's Coors, of course. So 1 of 9 or 1 of 10 is Coors Field, and that's always fun. Yeah. And actually not the worst pitching matchup we've seen in Coors late. I mean, we've had some abysmal pitching in Coors.
Yeah,
I mean,
we've been burned by targeting some of that abysmal pitching too, but I think we're going to hopefully see some of that even off more towards the middle of the year,
Yep. So let's take a look. Usually we head over to Vegas first, and let's do that here. Heading over to Vegas, the odds-on favorite today, Jacob deGrom and the Texas Rangers, minus 215. Is the biggest favorite and the only significant one on today's slate, John. There is not a lot of separation in terms of odds. Framber Valdez just minus 145 on the road, but he takes on the Phillies and Aaron Nola, which I understand why he's not a bigger favorite than that. If the Atlanta Mets game goes off, minus 135 in that for Max Fried and company, minus 155 for the Tampa Bay Rays and Zach Eflin. I see some places it's closer to minus 170, so I guess that's kind of significant. They're on the road against the Chicago White Sox, who have been abysmal for the entire season and beyond. There's nothing else that stands out in any capacity. When we head to the over-unders, the first number we're going to take a look at is Arizona, Colorado. It's actually been bet down, John. It opened at 11.5. It's now at 11 across all sports books, which is kind of a telltale sign. I think something that you kind of hinted at, we've kind of been snake bit by, and I don't mean that in any type of way, because we have the Arizona Diamondbacks on the slate. That was just happened to be that
flow like that.
Phrase. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I feel like this is the lowest Coors Field total we've had all year. A total that has risen, opened at 9, now 9.5, is the Los Angeles Angels and Milwaukee Brewers, and it's something that you previewed. Wade Miley's been really good, but maybe those surface numbers aren't telling the full story. Yeah. Tyler Anderson's surface numbers and numbers under the hood are terrible. So that game's been bet up to 9.5. Boston and Cleveland currently at 9. And that's it. Those are the 3 noticeable game totals. Every other game environment isn't great. So let's just dive into the top plays of the day.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you cover here today is a 1 Jacob deGrom, right? So he gets at home the New York Yankees, who are now without Aaron Judge. They've already kind of been an abysmal lineup as it is. Now you take Aaron Judge out of that mix, and that lineup is even worse, right? And now you're also going up against one of the, if not the top pitchers in all of baseball. It just feels a little tough to expect this to be a game where deGrom just doesn't absolutely dominate. And there is enough value on today's slate. I made a lineup earlier today. You saw it. It had deGrom and actually had 2 kind of higher priced pitches in there with Coors Field, with some other guys in there that we like today. So getting to deGrom at 11.5 is not going to be an issue tonight.
Dude, all that needs to be said for Jacob deGrom facing the Yankees today is that Willie Calhoun is hitting 4th. That is all. We can move on. That's it. Like, yes, Jacob deGrom. Let's move on. Like, 4th, Willie Calhoun. What year are we in?
Not good. Not how you want your lineup to look.
No.
Okay. Just I wasn't sure. If we were going to be that's a great lineup.
I am just beside myself of happiness.
As a Yankees fan, right? You find yourself in a little bit of a little trouble there with that lineup. So I get it. Not to waste time. deGrom is the chalk pitcher of the slate. You can fit him in at all formats. I don't know, double 10, 12 strikeouts minimum maybe tonight.
there is
the only thing that has taken Jacob deGrom out of games this year has really been Jacob deGrom. He's had that little elbow issue that pulled him out against the Royals. But other than that, like the guy has been
the wrist.
Other than that, he's like pretty much been as advertised there for the Rangers. So plug him in. If you're not going deGrom, I do like Framber here. I don't mind Framber at 10K against Philly. Again, a lineup that it has some guys in it that can hit left-handed pitching, but I mean, for the most part, Framber's a really good pitcher that can work his way out of damage. He keeps the ball down. He doesn't generally give up a ton of home runs. So I'm fine getting him at home here today at 10K if you wanted to pivot down. But for me, I just went to Zach Eflin. He's a Tampa Bay being a favorite here, one of the bigger favorites on the board. Eflin himself has pitched pretty well. And then we've been talking about it. That White Sox lineup, man, it's bad. It's not good, and it's definitely not good against right-handed pitching. They're bottom 20 team in average, bottom 20 team in WOBA. Their strikeout rates right there in the middle of the pack as well. So, Eflin to me at 9K just feels like a right price point for him.
I'm a little indifferent about it, and not because I don't think Eflin is in a great spot or like that I disagree with anything you said, because we've been attacking the White Sox ad nauseum here. You and I have made like points to like go out of our way to attack the White Sox and like just point out their lineup pretty much every single day.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree on the price point thing. And it's not that I don't think he could work his way up to it. It's not that I think there's obviously not a win that equity coming with it and that there's a little strikeout appeal, but he came back from the injury and he faced the White Sox, but he only spanned 5 innings. And I get it that he still got us 19 and a half fantasy points. But if we're playing tournaments and he is 9K, the winning lineup, which you're also likely including Jacob deGrom in, if Eflin doesn't throw, let's say he is still topping out 75 pitches, right? Like, let's just put a mark there because it's his 4th start. He missed 3 weeks in between his 2nd and 3rd start of the year. There is, I think, a cap on his ceiling, which at 9K, if it's just 20 fantasy points, is probably not enough to win you a tournament or like be in that upper room in a tournament.
My expectations would that he would see an increase in the pitch count here today. Right, he capped out at 82 pitches there against Oakland. The 6 innings there in that matchup. He gave up 3 runs in that game too. So 1 run in each of the other games to take away a couple of runs there against Oakland. Not that you can do that weird math. He gave up the runs. You can't add them away. But there's 4 or 5 points right there that could have gone onto his total. And I was looking at 25 fantasy points at 9K versus the 19. To me, I look at the win equity. I look at the fact that he just pitched well against his team in a very efficient manner. 60 pitches in 5 innings. That's mowing them down. If he goes and gets you 6 tonight with 1 earned run, gets you a couple extra points there. Maybe he gets an extra strikeout or 2 mixed in, and you're sitting pretty good there in the mid-20s for fantasy points. My other reason for liking him is that I don't really care for a lot else. Yeah. I don't think you're going to be looking to go Nola. Bieber's okay, but he hasn't been great this year. In Boston at home, that offense for another team where you look at your lineup, you're like, this team's scoring runs. That doesn't make any sense. But Jaron Duran's come up and he's hitting 500, right? So a spark to that lineup. Yoshida, over 300 the last 10 games, and now the power's starting to be there.
Right.
Verdugo, so like maybe they're starting to come around a little bit here. And Bieber hasn't been 100% on his game. Wade Miley, I talked about it. You want to look at the surface numbers for Wade Miley? Sure. 1.96 ERA, sub-1 whip. All that looks great. If you go look at his Fangraphs numbers there, his expected ERA is over 4, his xFIP's over 4. He's, we look at those things as indicators that a guy is maybe due for a little bit of regression here. And maybe that's a spot for Miley. He doesn't strike anybody out. Pitches to a lot of contact. Are you pitching to contact today against Trout, Ohtani, Drury, who hits lefties, Renfroe hits lefties in Milwaukee, which is a better hitting environment for the Angels than they have in LA. So, I don't know. I don't want to spend $8,700 for 3 strikeout upside Wade Miley. Flaherty against the Dodgers. The Dodgers strike out a lot. Certainly, you could see Flaherty get some punch outs there, but also very likely to get up and give up hits to that lineup. Dustin May on the flip side, fine pitcher, hasn't gone terribly deep into games yet. Cardinals, like you go down the list, like I don't like a lot of these other pitchers. I at least make a case for Eflin to get me 20 tonight, and I can live with it. So that was my thinking. I did the playbook today. There aren't a lot of pitchers in the playbook for that exact reason. I just go down here and I don't like it. So I'll take the safe bet with Eflin, in my opinion.
So I like the pitcher and I like the matchup. 9K to me so I'll just throw you some pivots and see what you think.
Sure.
Because I have a couple names. I am a little interested in Flaherty, and it's something Howard talked about on the podcast this morning. Like there is a definite crisis in LA right now with like health. Will Smith on the IL, Max Muncy out, JD Martinez not expected to return. They already lost Lux in the offseason. They have Jason Hayward hitting third.
How dare you speak poorly of the J. Hay kid?
Back-to-back nights, Jason Hayward, or days because they played on Thursday afternoon, hitting third. And they have scored 3 runs in the last 2 games combined. And I understand Jason Hayward went 2 for 3. I'm so proud of him. And I understand
a run scored,
and I understand that Mookie Betts exists in the world and Freddie Freeman exists in the world. Outman has had a few good games and a lot of bad games mixed in between. There is,
you're going to look back at this and feel a little silly when the Pittsburgh Pirates are in the the National League championship game here, led by Mitch Keller and Rosny Contreras. So
maybe. I might. And you know what? Good. I hope they are. But Flaherty in tournaments isn't the worst. But honestly, like everything for me just goes down to $6,900 Alek Manoah. And I understand like Seattle is a potent offense at times, but at times they are not. And right now, I mean, they are not. Ty France, 114 average over his last 10 games. Teoscar Hernandez, 184 average over his last 10 games. Julio Rodriguez, John, J-Rod season. It was J-Rod season like 3 days ago. You and I were like, we're so excited. 175 over his last 10 games.
Yeah.
Like, nobody in this lineup is really, other than Jared Kelenic, doing much. And obviously, Kelenick's been on fire. And obviously, things can break out for Seattle in Toronto. You've talked about it a lot. Like, Toronto moved in the walls. It is a better hitting environment than it used to be. But also, whenever are we going to get Alek Manoah at 6,900 again? Like, I get it. He had been bad. He had not been Alek Manoah. We talked about this earlier in the year. Like, why is Alek Manoah whatever price he was? And he didn't pitch well against Detroit. But he's coming off 7 shutout innings his last time out. The strikeouts have been coming slowly but surely. The ground balls have been obviously helping the last few outings. Why would we not just play Manoah 6,900 and save a boatload of cash? Because not including price, he's one of the most talented pitchers on this slate just in general. He just got off to a bad start.
Yeah, I'll say this is a big night for me with Julio Rodriguez. I have I'm an avid card collector here, James. I know you know that about me. I bought the Topps series box, hobby box set. They have some specialty cards in there. One of them was their Topps Home Run Challenge card, where you get a player, and if that player hits a home run on a date that you select, you get a specialty parallel card. So I actually got a Julio Rodriguez Home Run Challenge card, and today is the day that he has to hit his home run. So if he hits the home run, I get the specialty Home Run Challenge card from Topps here. So we're all big Julio Rodriguez fans here tonight. For the sake of me just getting another card to add to my massive collection, which takes up a lot of space in my house, that my fiance wonders why on earth we need all this room for cards. But one of these days they'll be worth it. That said, I agree with you. Manoah, 2 fantastic starts this year, 3 not so fantastic starts,
right.
but he was in the playbook, and the reasons written are up there. You just look at the rankings for Seattle's offense here, especially against right-handed pitching, all down pretty much towards the middle to bottom of the league. 20th in WOBA, 23rd in batting average, a 24% strikeout rate. So certainly a lot of things potentially playing for Manoah if he's sort of turning that corner. So if you can limit the walks, right? You see the 3 starts where he got hammered. A lot of walks there. Definitely a spot where I think he can get it going. Anybody else for you here, though? Like, I kind of agree with you. If you want to dart throw it at Flaherty, I'm with you. Manoah for sure. It was Eflin. It was DeGrom for me. Framber maybe, but other than that, I had nothing else that I cared about on the slate.
Let me throw something at you real quick,
sure.
And you could shoot it down, and we can move on immediately. You don't even have to entertain it. It's going to be pretty cold at Coors Field tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The Rockies suck.
Yes,
they suck. Like, they are bad. Merrill Kelly is walking a lot of guys, but he's really been pretty good at limiting damage. He's pretty cheap, 7,300. Is there like a case to be made for using Merrill Kelly?
Maybe. I mean,
we've seen
it will be very contrarian. No one's gonna pitch a pitcher in Coors. So
no, yeah, and you don't need to because it's a big slate. But I hate that we're losing Max Fried. Like, there's just no chance we can use him because the game might not even play, and I want to use a $7,700 Max Fried. But there's not a lot of other pitchers I would possibly use. So just a thought on Merrill Kelly. We've seen this like first night at Coors blow up in our face before, like multiple times this year already. So I don't know. It's just an idea. I think Colorado's, and it's not me like being bold here. I mean, they might be the worst offense in baseball. So.
They're pretty ugly. I would agree with you. Catcher position here, a spot where, again, I think we know where a lot of the chalk is going to lie. You got Gabriel Moreno down here at $3,300. I think that's going to be a pretty popular play because you get that Coors Field matchup. But where else do you like today? There's a couple that I have in my playbook, but I want to see where your head's at.
Jonah Heim would be the first guy. I'm not really going up to spend up in catcher. Like, you can get obviously anyone above Heim, but it doesn't feel necessary. Jonah Heim has crushed everybody this year. A lot of RBIs lately. And Clark Schmidt has just been bad. Really, really bad against lefties. 385 average allowed, 1,000 OPS, 1,200 OPS at that, 517 WOBA for left-handed bats. So, Jonah Heim hitting 6. I wish he was hitting a little higher. We talk about like breaking lefty righties up, like hit him in front of Josh Jung. I like that Josh Jung's hitting 5th, but like him and Adolis being staggered might help them a little bit. So I like Jonah Heim quite a bit. Other than Moreno, it's those two guys. Like, I can
lefty bats against Schmidt here are just smoking him. It's just unfortunate that there aren't a lot of lefty bats in the lineup. Yeah. Notably, no Seager there. Corey Seager would have been the key play here tonight. But you can get Jonah Heim. The problem that I have with Jonah Heim is that it's not the right split for him. he's a better hitter against. I think I remember seeing him as a better hitter against lefties, right, James?
There's been a lot of power this year. He's actually been pretty good against righties. 3 home runs, 14 of his 18 RBIs, and a 360 WOBA. So he's been pretty good from both sides of the plate this year.
All right, so it was him. I liked William Contreras against Anderson at 37. Was the other guy, and then Moreno. So those are really the 3 catchers I was kind of keying in on here today.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much those 3. I would give an honorable mention to Langoliers, who you and I have touched on. We have talked to, like, I was trying to let you know, like, before, like, dude, whoever hasn't watched the Yankees, like, it's sometimes hard to keep up with every relief pitcher on every team. Luis Cessa was like a mediocre reliever for the Yankees for the last few years that they're trying to convert to a starter. Like, he's terrible. So Langoliers has showed a lot of pop. The game being back in Oakland is not the best, but because he's hit 5 of his 6 home runs on the road this year, to I think no one's surprised. But Cessa's been so bad. I think Langoliers is possibility for a cheap home run. The only problem you run into is like, well, I'm just going to play Moreno for $100 more. Sure. I just don't. Why? Like, Gabriel Moreno is hitting
8th. Yeah.
Like, what do we?
What if Caratini starts today over Contreras? Would you play him at 26 over any of those guys?
I like Caratini. We've had a like for Caratini every time he's been in the lineup against lefties. So, yeah, I would punt. So, like, I think Moreno on a per dollar basis is the best catcher on the board. The only problem is he's hitting 8th, right? I think that's the one glaring issue. Caratini would probably be 2nd per dollar. Heim is in the best lineup spot of them all. Langoliers has the worst ballpark that he's hitting in.
Worst lineup that he's a part of.
Yeah, and the worst, obviously, and the worst lineup. So, well, I think there's a case to be made.
So we actually do have a Brewers lineup here. He is not in it. Contreras is hitting 3rd, though.
Ooh. Well, they suck against lefties, so they might as well just put Contreras in there, like Mike Brousseau hitting 4th.
Cleanup.
Oh, my God.
Brousseau hitting cleanup. Brian Anderson 5th. Luke Voigt.
This lineup is a sight.
Owen Miller, Joey Weimer here finishing off that.
Well, John, when you have what is the official number here? When you have a 32.8% K rate, and that clears the field by 3 points. I think you need to mix things up sometimes.
Brousseau led off for them the other day.
He did.
Now he's in cleanup. So
yep.
I don't know. I don't really want to play the Brewers, but
no,
just where we're
at. It is a great, but to that point, playing Brewers, Tyler Anderson has been night and day from last year. He was fantastic last year. He has been terrible this year. And, like, there's no signs of positive regression coming. The numbers are just what they've been. Higher fly ball rate, less strikeouts, more hard hits. Like, everything's been bad for him. There's no batted ball luck, like, coming his way. Like, he's just been what he's been. So, there is maybe light at the end of the tunnel for the Brewers. Maybe. Because they have been equally as bad against left-handed pitching.
All right, so let's finish this off. We'll put a bow on it. Are you playing William Contreras hitting 3rd tonight, or are you playing Gabriel Moreno hitting 8th?
Contreras for 400 more is quite appealing. You're going to be put on the spot because you're the one who did the playbook, so you have the final call here.
Yeah, I'm going to play Contreras tonight, 3,700.
Okay. Where I'm going to go. That's pretty Contreras-ian of you.
Oh,
that was a bad one.
That's the show here, everybody. We'll be back on Monday.
That was a bad one. That was a bad one. Here. That was a bad one.
No recovery for James.
No, that was a bad one. I tried, but I should have just kept that one in the.
So it's rough out there. All right, let's go to first base. Shohei Ohtani, first base outfield eligibility, 63. Guerrero 6K. Alonso 59. Goldie 58, Olsen 55, blah, 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 blah. If you look at my playbook, there's 3 first basemen on there. I throw the obligatory Ohtani up on top, and then I only have 2 other first basemen listed. Nathaniel Lowe
Yep.
And it's Christian Walker. That is it. Those are the two guys I have. Yep. No reason to spread the player pool out. Two guys in elite spots here tonight. One's in cores. One's against a righty, giving up like a 400 average to lefties. Those are the two first basemen I'm playing tonight.
That's funny because that's exactly the conversation Howard Bender and I had on the pod this morning. The 5K and up tier doesn't feel necessary at all. When you just look at the position, like, sure, you could play Ohtani. Sure, you could play any of these guys, right? But, like, do you need to? No. Then you get to the next tier. I do think you can play CJ Cron if you're not playing Merrill Kelly. We've talked about it a couple times when we've had Rockies on our minds. He was good against righties last year. That was the better part of the split. But Nathaniel Lowe. I know you made a name change. I actually told Howard this morning, I'm like, hey, he changed his name mid-season. We must respect the name change there.
It's true.
He hasn't been amazing, but he's been coming around. 4 extra base hits over his last 3 games. Like, there's obviously like this. He's coming off his breakout season. Like this, he didn't just forget how to hit a year later. And you mentioned it, Clark Schmidt against lefties. Yeah, the matchup is fantastic. The hitting environment also. Texas went from pitcher's park to hitter's park in 1 year to the next. It's been top 5 in runs this year. And you're right. It's Christian Walker, who was really good against lefties last year. He's been like kind of really good against lefties his whole career.
Yeah, good OPS this year against lefties. The average is still kind of coming around, which is just always the Christian Walker story. Yeah. He's not going to win a batting title.
Nope.
So, he last year he had it was like an over 900 OPS. And I think his batting average against him was still like 260. Yep. That you're not getting that, but you're getting power. You're getting him in cores. You're getting him the right split. And as we talked about a few starts ago for Freeland, all of the numbers for Freeland suggested blowout was coming. Since been the case for him here. Right. I don't see him all of a sudden going back into home and pitching well tonight. So those are the two. Now there are other guys that have multi-position eligibility that we'll discuss. That could find their way into lineups. Obviously, now we have more information with lineups being active, like Luke Voigt's hitting 6th at $2,500. If you wanted to go Milwaukee, you could. I know you mentioned that Cleveland is fairly popular team tonight against Pivetta. Bell hitting 5th at $3,400, or Naylor hitting 4th. It's unfortunate that they both have first base eligibility. Yeah. I'm not looking to go against Pivetta. Cleveland to me feels like a team that doesn't ever score enough runs. Even though they feels like they always seemingly draw rostership on them. So just nothing that sticks out to me here.
So I'm okay getting to both those guys because I don't like Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta is just one of those guys where he could put a master class together and you're like, oh, I see why he's still in the majors. And then 3 starts in a row, you're like, oh, he shouldn't be in the majors anymore.
Right.
He's been kind of bad with lefty power, specifically 543 slug against, 363 WOBA, 3 home runs already in just 9 innings. That's 3 home runs per 9 innings for all those counting at home. 36% hard hit rate against lefties, 41% fly ball rate against them as well. All that stuff is pretty tough to pitch in Fenway with, right? A high fly ball rate, pesky pull down right field, that is not a good recipe for success. So I could get to both Naylor and Bell. I prefer Christian Walker, obviously. I think you and I are both in lockstep there. But I do think there's merit. Bell has been better of late. Naylor has just kind of been bad from the start of the year. There is signs of life. Hits in 4 of his last 5 with a couple multi-hit games, including a home run the other day. So I think there's merit to getting both of them. There's no I'm going to play Bell because he's $100 less, but
right.
They're both fine.
Okay. Let's go on over to the second base position here. Again, there's a couple of top guys here. Schmidt has been way worse against lefties and righties, but we know Simeon, if you're playing Texas, you guys know my feeling on Simeon. He's not my favorite guy, but there's some power here. There's some speed. He's actually been hitting the ball very well. So if you're stacking Texas, you can't really ignore their leadoff hitter.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you right there, by the way. I'm proud of you.
Martinez is a guy that I generally don't play because I think he's too expensive, but he's also 316, 876 OPS lately. For him going in the cores still feels kind of expensive, but as you'll see as we go across, it's really just him and like Corbin Carroll are expensive in this lineup. Everybody else is fairly inexpensive. So you certainly can fit him. For the playbook's sake, Brandon Lau is the top second baseman that I put in my lineup going up against Giolito here. I know recent form 10 game numbers aren't great, but coming off 3 hits in a home run last night here, I think there's some merit to playing Lau. The power is all the way back for him after just being nowhere last year. And then you have some of the Coors Field matchups. You got Albies against a lefty in the mid-tier. Where are you kind of looking in here tonight?
Yeah, let's just quickly, I don't know, for anyone that might have missed the beginning of the show, why we're not really talking about Braves so far, and why Max Fried wasn't talked about at 7,700, because like he would have been probably a core play if he was like pitching. There is likelihood that this game is right now.
Right.
Now I did see something earlier today, John, and they don't play again in New York until like August, and it's only one series. So they're saying like they might just wait this out because there's no like days to make this game back up. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, I'm reading Roth here, and essentially, the way he has it currently written up, he says that this was a couple hours ago. I'm coming around on the Mets game, just playing in the rain. We'll see. The pregame will tell how that turns out. If you looked at his write-up for this game here, he says it's going to be light rain to start the game, heavy rain to end it. They'll see how far they go depending on when the rain arrives. So to your point, they could just call it if they think for sure it's going to be nothing but lightning storms here halfway through the game, or they play 5 innings. Like, you know what? We'll get 5 innings here. That will be an official game. We'll move on from it, right? That could also be a decision that the Mets make here as well.
Yeah. Which makes it just so... Because, like...
It's a no play for me for those reasons.
Yeah. I mean, Albies would be...
It doesn't seem like they play a full game unless they play a full game in heavy rain, which... Who is that good for, right?
Nobody.
Yeah,
Albies would be our favorite play. 4,300 hitting fourth against David Peterson. He'd probably be the top second baseman, or 1A, 1B situation with our boy at $3,800.
Mr. Brandon Drury here.
Yep.
Who has 4 home runs in the last 5 games. 2 of those homers came off of lefties and Sears and Waldachuk. Look at that. 4 straight multi-hit games.
Yeah, he's been a monster.
Starting to come around, and then last year again over 900 OPS against left-handed pitching. $3,800. He also has first base eligibility. If you didn't like any of the first base we talked about, and you wanted to play Drury at first, go ahead, smoke him if you got him. Certainly go ahead. You can play there. Anybody else here? I mean, Owen Miller's min price 2K, heading 8th. More Milwaukee potential exposure there.
I got nothing. I don't love this position outside of like. I take it back. No, I play Jimenez at 4,200.
Okay.
If you're in on the Guardians,
I don't mind Dubon at 34 either.
Yeah.
The man, as we say, and has remained true, has a hit in every game except for one this year. He gets on base. He will not. He almost will certainly not give you a 0.
What if Altuve came back like right around Dubon, like approaching the DiMaggio hit streak, and then they just like didn't play Dubon like the rest of the year? They were just like
they'll have him play outfield or something like that. Like they'll figure out a way to. I mean, if you want a single, man, like he's your guy. So.
If you want to sing. Speaking of singles, did you see Jeff McNeil hit a triple?
I did. I did. Good sharp line drive for him. I was happy.
That's what we get.
Happy for the exit velocity there.
Yeah.
All right, third base here. Pretty loaded as always. This position generally is, except for like yesterday, where it was maybe one of the worst times we've ever seen.
Of all time.
It was pretty ugly there.
But Brett Beatty hit a home run.
Brady did hit home run. We played Jeimer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
big sad there. Devers $6,200. I like him here against Bieber. I like him against pretty much anybody ever. So he's just always in the lineup. After that, I put Riley, but again, weather permitting, 53. McMahon at 46. Probably be, again, don't love it, but it's Coors, so sure. Josh Jung at 41 made the playbook today. Just a lot of power coming around for him. Evan Longoria, you know how I feel about him versus lefties. Now he's in Coors at 4K. Brian Anderson's $3,500. So this mid-range from Jung, Longoria, and Anderson, largely where I'm living here tonight.
Yeah, so I'll just circle back to Jose Ramirez. I keep mentioning Guardians, but like
I know. I don't like him, so you can play him.
Lefty power against Pivetta has just been a thing. I'm not like stamping that Cleveland is like the best play of the day, and Ramirez has been better from the right side this year anyway. It's not like I'm like in complete like I need to play Guardians, but they do just kind of profile pretty good against them. I actually take it back. Jose Ramirez has been nails against righties this year. 328 average, 409 WOBA. And again, so lefty power for Ramirez against Pivetta. I like that. The guys you mentioned, I would like to play Riley. Can't get there with the weather.
Cleveland ranks 27th in win runs against right-handed pitching. They just don't score, man.
They just don't. They don't. That doesn't. But like, would it surprise you if Jose Ramirez had a 4-hit game or
maybe 25th? Again, this is all the raw numbers is unfair to look at because every team has different amounts of it, whatever. But they rank 25th in total runs scored against right-handed pitching this year. That's just where I'm at with it. Like, I look at that offense, and we went over it. Like, they all kind of suck. Ramirez is a great name talent, good for fantasy. He definitely has some days where it's great, but nobody around him is producing. Nobody around him is really getting on base. Like, yeah, I mean, sure, if guys are hitting Pivetta hard, I don't know. I feel like whenever we look at Cleveland, they're not it. They're not that guy. So, you know, if you, I would gladly fade them, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong here.
Yeah, I don't like if I'm ranking them, like seeing them being popular makes me way less like wanting to gravitate towards them.
Yeah, 24th and WOBA against right-handed pitching.
I mean, it's just like it's just again, it's like the immovable force versus the inanimate object.
Sure.
Pavetta's been terrible against lefty power. If there's pitches down the middle, we've seen Naylor have big home run upside. We've seen Ramirez do so. I love Longoria hitting 5th. I kind of like Rendon hitting 4th as well. He's been coming around. I like Josh Jung, although lefties have been the better split for Clark Schmidt. Jung has been pretty gosh dang good lately. I got one more name for you, and I actually talked about it last night this morning on the podcast here on Better Sports Network with Howard Bender. Emmanuel Rivera was traded last year from Kansas City to Arizona and did nothing but hit lefties. He's hitting 2nd tonight. And he's 2,600 in cores. I understand that like takes away from the Longoria thing because Longo's a 4K third baseman only and Rivera's a $2,600 third baseman only. But like the numbers are actually good in this guy against lefties. And it was over 100 at bat sample. I'm going to pull it up again. I had it from 2022. So it's 119 plate appearance sample for Emmanuel Rivera last year against lefties. 464 slug, 200 ISO, 339 WOBA. Like those are really good numbers against left-handed pitching. I don't know, 2,600 hitting 2nd, good against lefties? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely possible.
In cores?
Yeah. What did you say his numbers were last year against lefties?
Against lefties, 119 plate appearances, 464 slug.
Yeah.
200 ISO, 339 WOBA.
Sure. He plays. Definitely plays. I'm
hitting
trying to
second in cores. I don't know.
Yeah, the Coors Field thing definitely makes it appealing because of how cheap he is. So
Yep.
Longo obviously I think has the more legitimate home run upside.
Yep. And he has for the BVP truthers, he has really good BVP against Kyle Freeland. 34 at bat sample. He is 11 for 34, 410 WOBA.
Works. Again, hard to argue with the straight up facts that you're spitting out there. This year, Longoria 398 WOBA against left-handed pitching, 907 OPS, 500 slug. So
go play them both on FanDuel. You can play them both on FanDuel.
Yep, 100% play them both on FanDuel. No arguments there. Shortstop. Again, this is a spot where I didn't really care spending up for. You could go Adames if you like the Milwaukee play. Not really looking to go against Castillo or Valdez. Franco against a righty, kind of cooling off a little bit there. We got the weather with Lindor. I mean, you probably like Rosario, I would imagine, given the Pivetta matchup.
No, Pivetta lefties, just lefties against Pivetta.
Okay. Where are you going at shortstop? Because I was basically looking at Ahmed or Nato and just like moving on. So
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like during the podcast before I knew the rain was going to be a factor, it was like Howard and I were talking about it. It's like it was Vaughn Grissom who was hitting 6th or like just kind of gets lefty. David Peterson kind of stinks. As our boy Ryan, who's a nightly listener and watcher. Ryan, what's going on, man? Happy Friday to you. Can't wait to play Manoah Chalk and Brooks Chalk. Well, I mean, I feel like those two things aren't like mutually mutual because like one is the most hated player in sports.
Right.
And one...
Well, that's only contrived by fans and media, you know? So.
Yeah, well...
So says he. So.
Yeah. So says the most hated man in sports. And like Manoah, has gotten some. I think there's been some body shaming on Alek Manoah, but like nothing else. Preseason body shaming, which was unnecessary, but like, I don't think those two guys are comparable. Anyways, I am with you. It's we always play Nick Ahmed against lefties to begin with. Nato
came through for us last time as well. Nato's starting to heat up.
What do you think of the Oakland matchup? Like, do you think they're like Jose Barrero is like an interesting prospect? He strikes out a lot. Like, I
mean, I'd rather play Nato hitting 9th than Barrero hitting 9th.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to find us something here. Okay, This isn't as bad as yesterday's third base position because at least like at the top there are like elite names.
Yeah.
So here, this is what I'll say. Looking at ownership, you ready?
Sure.
These are the guys that are going to be owned at shortstop tonight on DraftKings. You were right at Ahmed Rosario, mentioning him. 19% projection on Ahmed Rosario. Nick Ahmed is second. Mookie Betts, the shortstop, is third. Alan Trejo is fourth. Those are the 4 guys getting double-digit ownership at shortstop tonight. Trejo hitting 7th. He is hitting 224 this year. So I will let the 11% of the population play him, and I will run as fast as I possibly can the other way.
Ahmed this year versus left-handed pitching. He has a 292 WOBA. Just okay.
What was it last year though? Last year was good, I think.
No, he was good 2 years ago. Last year he was hurt. He only played 16 games.
Okay.
2 years ago was a lot better. He had a 778 OPS, 462 slug. 2019 he had a 560 slug with a 930 OPS against lefties. So a guy that his career hit lefties well. It all depends on how much Arizona you want here as well tonight and how your stacks are being built.
Right.
But it's Nato or it's Ahmed for me. So it will depend on how much salary you probably need in your lineups here. Let's go on over to the outfield position. A lot of top price guys here. Where are you starting your outfield rankings here.
I don't know, John. I don't know if another position where, and this kind of does lead you to like easily plugging DeGrom and easily plugging guys like if you wanted to get to Frambar or whatever. I don't. This is the first time with this many guys like 5K and up that I don't feel like the strong urge to like get to any of them with any conviction. Like
Okay.
Adolis obviously has insane upside. Do I think that he is going to hit 3 home runs in a game this year again? No. Do I think it's possible that he has 4 hits, 2 home runs, and a stolen base in a game again? I do. He does it like he's done it each of the last 2 years, and it's shocking to see, but it's like, I guess this is what this guy is.
I told you I was stunned
That he was a 30-20, that he was a back-to-back 30-20
yeah,
guy.
Yeah. Again, only one stolen base on the year, but I mean, yeah.
I'm just like, this is the first time this year where you mentioned the thing about what Miley being, there are numbers suggesting there's regression coming. That in theory puts you on Trout, Ohtani. Right? So that's probably where I'd go if I'm going anywhere. But where would you go? Like do you have the same kind of sentiments I do?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I still like Corbin Carroll even against a lefty.
Sure.
They got him at 6 today. He's just become everything we expected him to be. He got off to like a really slow start, and now he's over 5K. And like, I don't think we see him under 5K probably like the rest of the season.
He shouldn't be.
He's going to come out of Coors probably with an amazing weekend here coming up.
Well, do you know where he plays? Do you know where he's playing tomorrow? He's playing in Mexico City tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, even.
And Mexico, they opened with like, I think it's like a 13 over under.
Yeah, the elevation there is even worse. So
yeah, he's going to be like a 6K player by the end of the week.
Yeah, so I mean, I like Corbin Carroll even against lefty. I don't think Freeland's long for the game. I agree with Trout or Ohtani. Trout for sure can go in that direction there. Renfroe against Miley, I think fits at 48. In mid-tier, I don't mind going the Boston guys. Again, Bieber has been hittable. Verdugo, Yoshida have been good to start off the year there. Kalanick against Manoah, if you're not playing him, hitting third tonight at $4,100. But then I go down to, like, we talked about Sessa pitching for Cincinnati. Rooker is $3,400. He is raking right-handed pitching. He's a righty that hits right-handed. He's not doing well against lefties. Estory Ruiz, we had that stream like a week ago where we were all in on Rooker Ruiz stack there, and it like sort of came through. Could be a spot tonight where Ruiz gets on against Sessa and just runs wild. Jaron Duran's at $3,100 hitting the ball all over the place. There's a lot of guys in this under 4K range that I think are in play tonight.
Yeah, I think everyone you just mentioned in play. Brent Rooker officially hitting third. I believe he's been hitting fourth of late. Shane Langolier is hitting fourth in that lineup tonight, John. Just to
I'm telling you,
Oakland,
we talk about all the time, like Oakland one day this season will win us money. They will.
Yeah, because we're going to play him for 150 games of the 162 on the schedule.
One of these days, though.
One of these days, yeah. Everyone you mentioned is firmly in play. I can't believe how good Jaron Duran's been. I mean, not that I can't believe it, but he has been otherworldly. Right. Jankowski's interesting, hitting second against Clark Schmidt if you want to complete your Rangers stack. He has hit 310 over his last 10 games. He's hit 340 on the year, a guy with a lot of speed if he gets on base. He can steal. Brenton Doyle could be an intriguing play. Has a multi-stolen base game for the Rockies already this year. In Coors, like obviously, that's kind of appealing. We've known Merrill Kelly as a reverse splits pitcher for quite a while now. That's probably it for me.
There's really not a ton, down here.
Connor Capel hitting fifth tonight, 2,100. If you really want to dive into the Oakland love, 4 home runs or 4 stolen bases this year.
Henry Ramos is stone cold min price for Cincinnati. He's hitting sixth. Hits right-handers. He's only played a couple of games, and he's got hits and RBIs in all 3 of them. since being called up for the Reds. So, you mentioned going up against Cincinnati. Could certainly go there. Our guy Michael Rojas in chat wants to know what our home run calls are for tonight. James, everybody knows we don't include Coors Field in our home run call. So what are you feeling tonight for a bomb?
If we're not including Coors, I think my favorite home run option would be someone on Texas. Even though there's not a lot of, I guess, home run profile, I'm going to go Nathaniel Lowe as my home run call. Clark Schmidt has just been, it's been bad against left-handed bats. It's been as bad as it gets. So outside of Coors, I'm going to go Nathaniel Lowe as my home run call.
All right, I'm going to go Hunter Renfroe
That's a great one.
As my home run call there.
He has been so good against lefties for so long, and it's just like, of course, he was terrible on what is today, Friday. I said Happy Friday like 6 times. Can't even remember what day it is. On Thursday, where I was like, oh, Hunter Renfroe, lefty, great, gonna stack him.
Homered on Wednesday though. So
yeah, well, that didn't matter because I played him on Thursday, John. Okay,
double dong 422 against KC.
Didn't play him on that. Didn't play him on that slate either.
He had a hit, an RBI, and a run scored yesterday.
No complaints, but like he was like $5,000. So hit RBI, run scored is it's great, but like $5,000, give me a gosh dang home run, man. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in a full agreement with you. I made a lineup. I'm sure you can see it on screen. I get your opinions on it, and then we can kind of go through and make a lineup that you want here too, James. My lineup for those, deGrom, Manoah, Contreras, Walker, Drury, Longoria, Nato, Rooker, Renfroe, and Carroll. So we got a one-off Rooker for the home run against Sessa. We got a little bit of a stack there with Carroll, Walker, and Longoria in Arizona for Coors. Nato, Renfroe, Drury. Obviously, no real connection for Nato, just the spend down there.
Right.
And then we're going top dog, deGrom, Chalky, Manoah for me.
So I love that lineup. Do you want to build? We could do, since we have some time. Do you want to build a lineup that, for people that are maybe playing multiple lineups or people that are looking to fade Coors, do you want to build a Coors fade lineup?
Yeah, let's build a Coors fade lineup.
Just because I love, by the way, I think that was a fantastic lineup. Nothing I would change, but I think it's worth mentioning, just maybe like either we full fade Coors or we play like Moreno as a one-off to give us value, something. And I think if I were to fade Coors, Texas would probably be my go-to.
Still going deGrom, Manoah?
Probably, yeah. Unless you wanted to experiment with Eflin or someone.
I'm fine with deGrom, Manoah because I think we're going to need the salary here. So definitely Nathaniel Lowe. I think the Janikowski call was spot on.
Okay.
Just at $2,900. Hard to argue with that one. What's our third piece here? Jung, Heim, or
I went Heim to stay with the lefty, but like I understand if we wanted to go Jung because it kind of attaches to the stack a little better, hitting 5th. The lefties have just been so good against Clark Schmidt.
Okay, I'm good with going John Heim. That's cool. All right, so that's our core. Heim, Lowe, Janikowski. We got $3,900 a player. I'm assuming we're going to go back to Drury here at second base.
Oh, yeah.
Third base for $4K. You mentioned fading Coors, but I mean, Longoria is just staring us in the face at that price.
Well, how about this? How about we go Rivera 2,600 and play him as a one-off as opposed to Longo in this line?
Okay. And
we do a 2,600 just one-off Rivera.
Okay.
And then I just don't know what to do at short. That's my problem.
I just keep going to Nato here, so.
Yeah, which I don't dislike. And that gives us 2 spend-ups if we wanted to go Trout.
Yeah, 5,500.
Renfroe.
5,450 for 2. Yeah, Renfroe.
Trout and Trout. You can get Renfroe, Trout.
Yep. Lovely. Look how that works out for us here. So we got
that's our
semi-course fade because we played Rivera there. We got Texas lefties going up against Clark Schmidt. Just ridiculously bad numbers for him against left-handed pitching. Angels here going up against. We got 4 Angels in the lineup going up against Wade Miley, as I mentioned. On the surface, 1.90 ERA looked great. If you go and look up his FanGraph numbers here, expected ERA over 4, xFIP over 4 here for Wade Miley. So projecting some eventual regression here for Wade Miley, and you're getting the Angels in a better hitters in park there with Milwaukee. And then we're going we got the one off there with Rivera, and then deGrom and Manoah sitting up there at the top tonight. Again, Jacob deGrom going up against the Yankees lineup. I'll just read off the Yankees lineup again for everybody who maybe missed the early part of the show here. There's no Aaron Judge tonight. Yankees leading off DJ LeMahieu, hitting second Anthony Rizzo, hitting third Gleyber Torres. And then you're going to want to wonder what exactly you're looking at here. Is this a minor league roster? Is this an international league lineup? We got Willie Calhoun hitting cleanup. We have Peraza hitting 5th, Cabrera hitting 6th, Frankie Cordero hitting 7th, Aaron Hicks hitting 8th, and Higashioka hitting 9th. That right there against Jacob deGrom. Can I bet on a no-hitter tonight? I'm going to go see if that's even a prop.
No-hitter.
I might bet on a no-hitter or a perfect game here tonight for Jacob deGrom. I can't see who after Gleyber, honestly, is even going to put a bat on a ball against Jacob deGrom. I mean,
so okay.
I say that obviously being a little bit, for the show here, but I mean, honestly,
I like, and I've said this a couple times, long term, I like Oswald Peraza and I like Oswaldo Cabrera. Like long term prospect of those two players, I like. Right now, they don't look great at the major league level, and they have to face Jacob deGrom. The Yankees have been bad with Aaron Judge in the lineup, and now there's no Aaron Judge. There's no Stanton. There's no Donaldson. There's no Bader. This is a bad team that the Yankees are throwing out there. This might be a situation, John, talking about deGrom bets that you can actually bet.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I'm going to go take a look at Willie Calhoun revenge game for the OMG father here. Yeah, you know what? He was so upset they kept sending him up and down between AAA and the major leagues. That tonight's the night. He's had it circled on his calendar. Let's see.
You could do a deGrom waterfall strikeout bet here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like LeBron, how he's kept.
deGrom strikeouts are at 9.5 here. So
do a waterfall up to 14. Win all the money.
I wish I could find if they had a no-hitter prop. I'm sure there's one somewhere. I can't find it at the moment here.
Plus 100,000.
Yeah, crazy. So anyway, that's our anti-Coors lineup. You saw our Coors lineup here. James and I will be back for Monday's main slate. Stay tuned here on the Better Sports Network. Your NFL Draft Day 2 coverage coming right up there. And I'll be on later on tonight as well, covering the second round of the NFL Draft. So good luck, everybody, on tonight's slate. Get us in the Discord if you're not already part of the FA family. James and I will be in there at Roster Lock. We will catch you guys later.